Our next episode is live. Welcome.
Welcome. How does it get any better, guys? What else is possible?
We're about to
Oh,
find out.
yes. How are you, Ben?
Let me check. I'm grateful today.
Awesome.
I'm in surrender and self-care right now. I want to say good morning to Ricky's Mysteries. He's one of my favorite new podcasts. He's a friend from high school who has had some incredible encounters
Uh-huh.
with UFOs in New York City,
Wow.
like close. And he
Wow.
has a new podcast about it. And just wondering, like, if anyone else has dealt with these things. I'm curious. That's for another podcast. But I wanted to say shout out to Ricky. We've reunited in New York 20 years later out of high school, and it's pretty amazing how people find each other. I think if you keep
That's so
following
cool.
what you love and what you do, like,
Of
you'll
course.
attract these people back into your life, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Isn't that
Um,
funny how it works?
for those of you who don't know and probably do know, I don't know, I had a snowboarding accident. I live my life out loud and I have so much fun. And at the end of at the end of the season, really, I fractured my wrist pretty seriously in multiple places, and I had surgery and metal plates put in. Um, and I also had an ACL injury in the process. Which, if any of you have ever dealt with knee stuff, it is way worse than a broken bone. I mean, I am still trying
Oof.
to walk regularly 3 weeks later. Meanwhile, like, I take this off. I'm already doing physical therapy 2 weeks after surgery. My hand is doing amazing, but it's
Awesome.
forced me. And inside of this time, Daniel, my coaching career is taking off. Dude School's continuing. Matt Johnson and I have a coaching collective called the Treehouse right now, where we do executive corporate level coaching, and we have multiple accounts. And our band is taking off again. We're planning tours,
That's
and
fantastic.
like a million others. Oh, I have one of my first acting jobs of the season. I'm going on a retreat. I'm planning my next men's retreat. Why am I telling you all of this? Because I would challenge anyone to bring a case that they've dealt with fear of failure
Uh-huh.
and self-sabotage more than me. This was not possible 10 years ago. Right now I'm sitting with my arm is elevated, my knee has like a heating pad around it. I meditated with Daniel this morning. I got up early to check in with my friends and schedule one-on-one time with someone I care about. I scheduled breaks in between meetings. So I'm actually having to up my level of self-care right now in order to
Absolutely.
just function. And my life is expanding. And Daniel and I were just talking about this, like, before, like, he's traveling, you're traveling the world, Daniel, and burnout's a thing, but there's something that I'm speaking to, because today isn't about burnout. Today's about resilience and this fear of failure. And if you're here listening, I want to assert that there's a reason that you're here. So if you're listening live, type and let us know what your fear of failure is on. And this is one of my favorite topics in the world. We're going to do a
Yeah.
deep, quick dive today. Um, Daniel's life is also expanding, and he's got clients front and back, and he's in Thailand, right? So, Daniel, I'd love to hear from you. Like, why fear of failure? Where have you dealt with fear of failure in your life?
Well, I think it was something that I kind of took on very early in my life. I was always terrified of failing, so terrified of failing that I would never actually start something sometimes. And I
Hmm.
realized because it was that energy that if it didn't look exactly like I wanted it to look like, right, that it was a failure, right? I always had this point of view that, if I was going to choose this, then in order for me to know that it was successful, it would look like this. And, it wasn't until really in my late 20s that I had this incredibly great awakening. And I realized that what I was really afraid of was not failure, it was actually success. I was really afraid of success. I was afraid of what came with success, the responsibility of success. And then looking at all of the opportunities that success creates that then might make you feel overwhelmed, right? And so it always kept bringing me back to this space of, you know what, nothing is ever good enough, and I'm going to fail at it anyway. That
Mm.
created the fear, that illusionary fear of failure for me, illusionary fear of failure that kept me stuck from actually changing, right? And I realized, for me, the anecdote was recognizing that, you know, what if there was no such, well, what if there just was no such thing as failure? What if failure was this big huge human construct that we've created to kind of keep us locked out of choosing something greater? What if it was something that maybe, I'm going to use the term the great patriarchy, in different times and spaces and locations that we've taken on throughout history and throughout time, that have kind of said to us, hey, listen, um, it will never be as good as you want it to be, so you might as well just let us do it, right? Or you'll never be as good as we are, so you might as well just let us do it. And how we've taken on all of that energy in our lives and said, okay, you know what, I guess that's the truth. And so in that space and that energy of acknowledging, or not even acknowledging, but buying that lie, buying those lies, I wonder how much of that prevents us from seeing that the universe actually does have our back, and that whatever it is that we are afraid of failing at could look a million and one different ways. And how does it get any better than what you think it is going to look like? That it could actually blow everybody else's mind. And that's something I think what's been really circling in my universe really only for the last few years. Through the last 4 or 5 years, that I've actually started to say, okay, I'm afraid that this won't turn out the way that I want it to, i.e., I no longer look at it as failure, but then I go, hey, you know what? The universe has got my back. Let me just jump into it. Let me see what I can create. And so, for me, that's really, that's what failure has done to me. It's kept me from believing that I'm living my purpose. It's kept me from choosing. It's kept
Mm.
me from doing things that I want to do, because I'm afraid that, you know, whatever, a million and one things will happen and will sabotage it.
Yeah.
So it's a crazy one. It's a really, really crazy one. Especially those of us like you and I, Ben, who are just such dreamers. You and I have, we grew up in this space and in this reality where, we just, we have this a view of the world, this view of what is possible, that, um, you know, I think a lot of times we've been told that it's a little utopian, and that it will never come true, or reality or society says, well, it's a little far-fetched. And it's kind of forced us into that place of saying, well, maybe they're right. And that's where we have to destroy this reality, right? Or create a new one.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. And what I really heard was, is this a fear of failure or is this a fear of success?
Right. Exactly.
And you said something like, you know, what if failure didn't exist? And I know some coaches and some people who really love to talk about failure, the importance of failure. Like, what
Right.
do we make failure mean? So if you're listening and you experience failure, I'd love for you to comment and say, like, what does failure mean to you?
Yes.
And
Exactly.
there's a great distinction I learned from Warner Earhart and landmark education and it's personal growth and development. And it's that you you cannot be a failure. Like, what is, like, literally you can't, you are a metaphysical and physical being made up of atoms,
Right.
and you're one in
Exactly.
7 billion chance that you made it here, and there's nothing about your energetic, biological, physical, or emotional makeup that's a failure, right?
It's
That's actually
impossible.
yeah, it's a word that we project onto
Yeah.
ourselves,
Exactly.
and we decide that we're a failure. So the distinction here is You cannot be a failure. You can only have a failure in performance.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if you're not failing, then chances are you're not trying. So
Right.
I believe I liked the idea of not having failure, but I also like the idea of embracing failure
Yes.
because, you know, when I chose an acting career, I mean, I was a soccer player. I played year round for 18 years. And then I quit my senior year to join the school musical. I was up for the lead role. And not only did I not get the lead role, and I was probably by far the most talented kid there, I didn't get any lead role. There was like 15 lead roles, and I was given a small chorus part. And it felt like a failure. It felt like a failure, but I actually felt like I won. And my performance was amazing. And so I saw that it wasn't even personal. And this was a
Sure.
great lesson going in the acting industry. How many times do we see, do we make it personal if they chose someone else? And I've learned
Yep.
the older I've become an actor, now I say to actors, like in the auditions rooms, like we're high fiving each other. We're like, go get it. Because it's not necessarily it's who's best, it's who's appropriate for the alignment of what's needed and the storytelling and giving and letting go of any attachment, because if you're
Absolutely.
following you and you're trusting your own path and you're taking actions consistent with that, you've got to start trusting that the universe is going to hand it to you. But Daniel, the fear of success, and I'm trying to pinpoint what age that turned for me, because when I was little, I was like doing yard sales and I was always upgrading my equipment and I had incredible
Uh-huh.
business mind. I love success. I was a professional magician. I
Yep.
honestly think it was something in fame and Dell and trauma, like this isn't what it's supposed to look like. And suddenly my whole nervous system was like, wait. And
Right.
then 9/11 happened on top of that. And then it really was like, we're in World War III right now. Like I can't show up for a commercial and try to make people laugh. This is meaningless with what we're
Wow.
compared to life and death. And I just began to
Interesting.
resent it. And I was getting more and more successful. Steven Spielberg's calling my manager, but I was resenting every moment because I just was so afraid of success. I thought
Absolutely.
I was going to lose absolute control. And I realize now my nervous system thought I was going to die.
Mm.
Literally, like my experience thinking back is you're going to die. And
Yep.
so I went into self sabotage to try to literally destroy everything so that I could stay safe. And it worked. I got arrested on national television, ended my
Yeah.
career for a while. I really had to start over. I drank a lot. I had to get arrested a bunch of times. And then finally I felt like I was left alone long enough to go through my dark night of the soul, where I finally decided I don't have to suffer anymore. And that was another revelation. Like, what?
Right.
I'm choosing my suffering. So I want to share that story, just to say, like, where do you deal with that? And what are the ways, like, you know, how do you shift? How do you start to show up for success? If it's a fear of success, like, that can be terrifying, but how do you show up for that? So what are some of the ways that you show up, that you transform this, Daniel? What are the tools that have worked for you?
That's an amazing question. And I think that is the solution for me. Exactly what you said is asking that question. Asking that
Mm,
question when I'm faced with that polarity, or that faced with that paralysis, that I perceive that there's nothing for me to choose. I ask, all right, what am I really truly afraid of? What does this look like if I choose it and it doesn't look the way that I want it to? Am I willing to go through um, that fire, if you will? Am I willing to go through that fire to see what could happen on the other side? Or and then I evaluate too. Maybe this isn't a great source of my energy. Maybe this isn't really where I need to put in my energy. But truthfully, I ask questions. I ask questions, and I ask questions out of possibility, not out of doubt. Usually we go to what if down. Well, what if I do this and it doesn't go the way that I want it to? What if I do this and I lose all my money? What if I do this and my wife leaves me? What if I do this and down? But I ask a question that takes me up, a question that takes me into possibility. What if I choose this and it's actually greater than I could imagine? What if I do this and it becomes my opus? What if I do this and I learn something new? What if I do this
Mm.
and my partner respects me and loves me more? So I just trying to change. My advice is to take that energy and create the what if possibilities that could exist when
Mm.
you do it and how you do it. You
I
know,
love that. I still
thank
have
you.
written on my whiteboard from when I first met you years ago, how
Uh,
could this work out better than I could ever imagine?
that's
That
right.
has
One of my
stood there
favorite
with me.
questions.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Ben, I love
also,
this. Can we also I just noticed this beautiful question from Magic Universe of Tea. Did you notice
I
that
didn't. I missed that. What's the
yeah,
question?
it was they were sharing something that they were concerned with. I guess the inclement weather for them, and they have a camping season that's a part of their business, and they're afraid that their business will fail, right? And so, I just want to invite you, my friend. What are you? Whatever is coming up right now in the universe that's making you have this awareness or have you fall into this fear um, that your business will fail, what is that, and what if it was an opportunity for you to look at what you can create and add to your business that would be even greater, that you haven't considered yet, because the elements haven't been there to support you. The elements are there to support you now. What if you're on the verge of actualizing, creating, and bringing into this reality something that has never been done in your business? What if it's something that leads you to becoming at the forefront of your what you choose to do? So, do you see how I kind of facilitated the consciousness around the fear of your business failing into the possibility of how it could actually become greater? And then that energy, just this shift in energy, Magic Universe of Tea, just the shift of energy will create an opening for the universe to come in and say, oh, hey, you know what? I'm so happy that you're now open to receiving this.
Hmm, I
Thank you
love
for
that.
sharing that. Yeah,
Yeah,
really,
thank you for
really.
catching that too. That's Mare. That's a really good friend of mine out in Oregon, and she started her own tea shop and she does tea readings, and this is like her dream come true. It's amazing. She's such a
So
beautiful
awesome.
healing energy. And one thing that popped for me is like, where are we trying to do these things alone?
Yes,
Like, where are we trying to
exactly.
survive or like not fail or take this on ourselves? Like, where are we not sharing with our friends, family, and community and allowing them to support us? And I do
Exactly.
that in dude school. I was like, I can't get men in dude school. I wasn't asking my community to share this with their men. I
Yep.
just had to start telling people about it and asking like, hey, do you see something possible? Like, what do you see for the community? And so I know
Yeah.
we've got to wrap up here, but I think, this is a great topic that we could continue for sure. And if there's any one of you who are
Absolutely.
dealing this, I want to highly encourage you to send Daniel or myself a direct message, DM us, let us know what you're dealing with, because in a single conversation, we could absolutely turn around your world. And we're really doing this here for you and with you and through you and by you. So thank you for listening. And please subscribe to our podcast, Wake Up Wednesdays, if you haven't already.
Yes, please. Thank you guys. And thank you for really kind of zooming in on this today, Ben, and expanding into what we had begun to speak to this morning in meditation. And it's really, I have to say, it's really made me do a lot of my own personal self-reflection in the last 20 minutes and go, oh
Mm,
wow, I wonder where I'm choosing this energy right now in my life, that I wasn't even aware that I was actually choosing this energy, right?
mhm.
And I could say, okay, you know what, this is where that fear of failure, fear of success is popping up, and let me actually go through it right now. So thank you for
Yeah.
that, and
My
thank you to
pleasure.
everyone.
I
Yeah,
completely relate to this too, guys. Like I deal with this on a daily basis.
that's right.
I want to leave one more thing that I say before we go. Like, I sit in meditation with this and I imagine like, what if it became great, what that might feel like, and practice sitting with it so your
Yeah,
body can get comfortable with the success. So
absolutely.
go spread this, share it with people. Daniel, thank you for all your wisdom, love, and joy today. And thank you everyone for
Thank you.
listening.
Thank
Don't
you
forget
guys.
to
Have a
subscribe.
wonderful day.
Take care. See
Bye
you next
bye.
Wednesday. Bye. Da, 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 da.